ankle up, and it was fine. Just went quite sober.
Before I even started playing music, when I was watching, old black and white footage of Mark Bolan live or Zeppelin live or Deep Purple live, you always aspired to Wembley Stadium. And the fact is we had played there with Queen for 2 nights, and that we were the first band on, and that was like the death spot.
I stood down the front where Brian May normally stood, and the Queen fans in England are rabid, you know what I mean? And we were like dodging bottles and loaves of bread, tomatoes, what's this, INXS? Who are these guys, you know what I mean? And we had to do 2 nights. So after the first night, we knew it was coming up the second night. I nearly wore a raincoat.
Well, last time we played here, they threw loads of bread and tomatoes at us, and now they're giving us little trophies and awards. Thank you very much.
Thank you. To sell it out ourselves was something, and still no Australian band's ever done it, and never will, because it's gone now. I think if you ask any member of the band, they'll, straight off the top of their head, their favourite gig, most successful gig, it will always be Wembley Stadium.
It wasn't really so much the size of the audience, it was the fact that it was us in England and it was INXS Day on BBC radio, and that was blasting backstage in the dressing rooms.
No, it's the radio. It seems like you can't avoid it these days. I mean, they're playing some snippet from an Australian.
INXS are the most successful band ever to have come out of Australia.
Is this true?
Worldwide, they've sold over 7 million albums. Formed back in '77, their first hit in Britain was New Sensation 11 years later. Still with the same lineup,
they're mixing it with Australia.
They've built their base by constant touring. Their tour manager, Gary Grant, has been with them since the early days.
There was 7 of us, sort of like,
he used to be our tour
in
manager.
one little car, and then we still laid the guitar across the back seat, and
that was him, not the guitar.
Down the country doing all the various shows, and all having to pitch in to buy fish and chips and sharing 1 can of beer and whatever it was at that stage. It was quite interesting.
What kind of gigs did you do in those days? Presumably it was sort of small.
We knew there was 16 cameras and a helicopter with a camera in it out there to film it. And, someone offered to fly Michael and I in on a helicopter before the show to do this, that and the other. It was like someone was going like, how nervous can we make her? Come on,
Superstitious, yes. I always put my left boot on first. Serious? Yeah. Always. I put it on the right foot once and I had a really great time. I'll never do that again.
I remember people were saying, like, what are your expectations of Wembley and that sort of thing? I'll never forget Michael saying, well, I've got actually really poor eyesight, so without my glasses, I can't tell. All I see out there is a fuzz,
that all lead singers are blind and smoke cigarettes. Can't see the audience, I have no idea. This is all sort of abstract concept to me, really. It's theory. It's absolute theory, because I actually can't see more than about 10 foot. So I haven't seen more than 10 foot since about 78.
You started smoking?
Yeah. And I never knew I couldn't see, and I got my eyes tested once, and I was actually blind. I thought everybody saw like that. And I got contact lenses, and I was like, wow, trees have leaves from 100 foot, and all this stuff. And I lay down in a park and sort of cried. It was a beautiful experience. And then wrote lots of poetry about trees and leaves. And then I did a concert, and terrified me. I could see them, they do this, they go, and all this sort of shit. So I took my contact lenses out on stage, and I've never worn them since. I wear prescription glasses and stuff, but I haven't seen an audience for a good 10 years. It's my secret. If I see that fucking audience out there, I fucking run!
Because Michael's thing was, because he couldn't see how massive the venue was, he just performed to the first 20 rows, and that's what was always so intimate.
Michael had a lot of vision, maybe, not necessarily physically, but he really knew how to really throw, to people and connect. And I think he was really on form that particular night.
I'd like to be in an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie for sure. I don't want to cut. That's all I want in life. What do you want? Would you like to be Arnold Schwarzenegger? Married into the Kennedy family. We're going to get cut out of the two biggest movies in history. I mean, what the fuck am I in this business for? We're getting paid £1.4 million for this tonight. I'm getting $5 grand. $5 fucking grand. $5 grand. That'll pay my fucking champagne bill at the hotel.
I remember asking Chris, who was managing us at the time, Chris Murphy, I remember asking him, so, we must have made a lot of money tonight, and him nervously shuffling around saying, well, because we did talk about it, obviously, we knew it was being filmed, and he said, well, we had, obviously the production was expensive, and I realised what he was saying. At the time, I was sort of thinking, we could have made all that money, but years later, he had a lot of foresight. Because in actual fact, we wouldn't have all this to talk about. And we captured a moment that was very important in our career, in a point of our career that was really significant. So I think, a lot of credit's got to go to that, actually.
For me, in a way, I approached that show until I got out there on the stage as just another show, as part of the tour. I mean, it was, the thing was, we never recorded a show like this with that many cameras, 35 mil, and the quality and the brilliant job Mark Opitz did made it all, in retrospect, I felt that way. Watching it, I went, whoa, gee, I didn't realise it looked like that. I try personally to keep my head around the space of it's just another show.
Right from the second I climbed through that little, there's a little trap behind my kit, and there's a little sort of cubby. I could sit there and wait before I go on stage, and it went through the curtains, walked on to the drum riser and sat down, and because I was the first guy on stage. And I was like, okay, another day at the office,
I wasn't actually that nervous until probably that, 30 seconds where we're actually sort of standing behind the stage about to go on, and, John starts up, his drum loop for Guns, and that's when sort of I think it sort of goes, woo.
You try to sort of just with a leisurely gait walking out there, but you see the audience and their enthusiasm, and it's hard not to run. You feel a bit like a football player or something running out onto the pitch. And it was that kind of a vibe, really. And then when you saw that, the way the audience were going off, it just sort of kind of fueled the band. And, it was one of those rare occasions where you feel like everyone had a really good gig.
As soon as I walked out there and just saw, over 75,000 people just sort of with their hands in the air, and just, it's an unbelievable feeling, and you forget everything. Well, not the music, but you forget everything else,
Like when John started playing Guns in the Sky at the beginning of the show, he was right on it, man. He was playing some really groovy backbeats and stuff like that. And we came out, that was a jam session, really we hadn't planned that, we didn't really, and this is the first song of the night, and here we are jamming, you know what I'm talking about? So we're going out there and it's like, ding, 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 ding. And we're just like, oh no, we'll take your lead, Johnny. It's kind of cool, that's what I live for.
We got the best drum in the world, and it's always been better for the sound guy up front if you go out and stagger the intros, so the drums start and he gets the drum sound and the bass comes in, and so we did it that way. And the fact is, and it really